I'm speaking now from outside of the famous church in Lenox that we call, oh, you can hear the bells now. Those are the bells of Trinity Church, and the bells were donated by Morgan. Sarah Morgan's husband was very bereft when she passed away, and he donated these bells. And they go off every hour. And when we give the tour at Ventford Hall, we always mention the bells because we can hear them from Ventford. And here we can see the land that was donated by the Haggerty family and the beautiful church they built of local dolomite. This is a stone that comes right here from the grounds, and you can see it's beautifully carved and placed together. This house of worship, a very sacred place, was completed in the year 1888, and the architectural firm was the finest in the country at the time, McCabe, Mead, and White. However, the rector of the church was architect himself, and he made some significant changes to the building. I wanted to speak here about a famous society wedding that took place on June 5th, 1885. Ms. Adele Sloan, who was a granddaughter of the founder of the Vanderbilt fortune, who is William Vanderbilt. She got married here on that day in this church, and it was a very esteemed gathering of the highest members of society at the time. The Vanderbilt clan had gathered, an unlikely gathering, but every single Vanderbilt grandchild was going to inherit an annuity of $50,000 a year, and that would last for the rest of their life just for being a Vanderbilt grandchild. And that's what Adele Sloan was. But she married a young Croesus, a very wealthy young man. And here gathered were Cornelius Vanderbilt, Mrs. William H. Vanderbilt. She was known as the richest of the American widows. And also Mrs. John Jacob Astor, who always set the standard for society of her day. And inside of these beautiful dolomite walls, the entire chancellery was bedecked with massive flower arrangements, and seated in the assembly was the very essence of American wealth. It was a one-time event. It was in a time in Lenox when everything was going well for it. Very memorable. This is a very whimsical place in Lenox. It's kind of like what you would think of like charming water views, plus the beautiful sky and the landscaping. Now all around, as I move around, you're going to start seeing these wonderful marble pieces, and they're almost relics of the past in Lenox, and they've kept them here so that you can see them and enjoy them. And this is the idea that George Westinghouse had when this land was his estate. Now it's since been taken over by a sort of condominium development sort of place. But they've left the remnants of George Westinghouse's wonderful marble facades and gardens and walkways. It's really sort of out of place here, but I still think it's a very pretty and peaceful place. I like to come here and enjoy the grounds and sort of say to myself, well, this is what it could have been. George Westinghouse, an American genius. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew how to make money. And he knew how to be happy. He got married to a woman, and she had her problems, health problems. And a move to Lenox and the buying of a beautiful estate here and the building of a mansion, which they called Erskine Park, was all part of the solution. to solving any of her medical problems. They lived very happily. They did have one son, but he did not continue to own the estate. He put it up for sale very quickly. It was snatched up by Margaret Vanderbilt, the famous heiress whose story is, I think, soon to be told in a miniseries on television. Her husband died on the Lusitania, and she was left the richest widow in the world, very beautiful, very young, and with 2 young sons, everything in the world going for her. So she loved the estate. She hated Erskine Park. She had it destroyed, and she put her own house on this beautiful land, which is now condominium. You always hear people working and fixing things. Oh well. It's definitely springtime here in the Berkshires. As you can see, the ice on the lake has melted. That's always a sign. When the ice is off of Lenox Lake, Laurel Lake in Lenox, then it's spring. And this year is promising to be another spectacular year here. And I just thought that I would come down here and actually film some of the natural beauty, really what it was that people were drawn to. Well, you have a beautiful clear days, skies like this, clear and quiet lakes and quiet spaces so that you can just imagine all sorts of artistic things. You could be romantic. Society is all about romance. Who are you going to marry? What are you going to do to change the world? These are idealistic people, and they were liberal. They were the second generation of money that really settled here and were young at the time when society occurred. Just speaking about the marriage of a very young couple, she 20, he 23, everything in the world going for them, and just waiting for their chance to become a part of the world that is associated with all the important things that are happening. But here you see the beautiful Laurel Lake down here from the boat ramp that belongs to Fox Hollow itself. And this is near an estuary where there's a road crossing over the shallows, and people love to fish in this area. But I think the sky is spectacular here and well worth filming. That's the reason that I pulled this out today.